Hello my quilting family. We're here for part 3 of our hand sewing series where we're going to discuss Y seams. Now you can see we have a cute little 4-patch here, and now we're going to add on these edges, but we have a Y seam right here. What we're going to need for this project is a good pair of scissors, washi tape, 1/4 inch washi tape, and nail polish if you have it. If not, you need a good ruler with a good 1/4 inch line and a sharp pencil, 50 weight airfill thread or whatever good thread that you like to use, silk pins, thread magic to keep your thread untangled, a pin cushion, a good sewing needle, and some luck. You're also going to need to watch your posture, engage your core, make sure you're breathing properly. Because remember, we're challenging you now to this 30-day for 30 minutes to sit and sew and breathe. And you'll find it's going to make a huge difference in the way you are dealing with what's going on in the world right now. Okay, so come on over. I'll show you how this is all done. Okay, now we're going to show you how to do a Y seam. So you can see we've got a Y coming up. And I've shortcutted this video a bit because you know how to sew a long piece in. And then it occurred to me as I was crossing this intersection, you guys might not know how to cross an intersection. So I didn't want you to sit there and have you watch me sew all of this, so I kind of shortcutted it. I pinned on my X where the start of the Y seam, and I've pinned now the seam behind on the 4-patch away, out of the way. Now I've stitched along and I'm almost at that first pin, so let me just get there and I'll show you what we're doing. Remember, you got to do your posture and all this stuff, right? So you're there at the pin, breathe in, breathe out. Now you want to go right in where that pin is, pull your thread around, and then pull. Now, what most people would do is they would just keep right on sewing. Well, you have that seam behind. You can't, right? So you have to push it away the other way now, so it's out of the way. And you go down in, right on the X, hopefully, yes, right there. And now you're going to make another knot. Even though the piece that you're working from is a straight long piece, you still have to think about the seam underneath, right? So now you've got this knot, and you do 2 hand over or granny knots or whatever. There. And now you're going to head right to this pin where that Y intersection is. So then you're going to half a stitch back, 3 small stitches. Now, there are people that say you can do as many as you want, which is alright. I mean, this for me is a very slow process, and it's a very enjoyable process. So 3 for me works because I can do the breathing in and the breathing out very comfortably within that 3. And no. Yeah, but take this moment to kind of think about this. Enjoy this time that you're taking away from all the busyness of your life and all the worry and all the stress. That's a little, just press it out with your finger and half a stitch back. There. You know, you can think about the person that you want to make a quilt for, you know, whatever. It works. It all works. Here we go. Just give it a finger press flat. Now the next one's going to take me almost to that pin. So I'm going to go half a stitch back and right up where that pin is. Now if you fall short of the pin, you're going to leave a gap. If you're over the pin, your stitch will show on the front. So what I want to do, because I hit the pin, I'm going to take my thread and wrap it around and making a little knot. Again, 2 little hand over knots or granny knots or whatever they're called. And now I'm going to manipulate this. I want to check where I'm at, and it looks good. It looks good. So I want to manipulate this so I have my 2 points coming together. right there. The 2 points are coming right together, like you kind of, you know, you want that 2 points coming together. And there's an X there, and I know it's real faint, but you want to hit the X on both sides. Oh, missed it. Missed the X just by about three threads. So that's where you're sewing to now. This pin holds in place where you're aiming for, right? So now you've got this thread attached. Hang on, it's getting too long. Okay. So what you want to make sure you're doing is you're hitting the X on this side, and you can split that open to C, and you want to hit the X on the other side, and you just want to hit right dead center of that X, because you don't want your stitching to show, and you don't want a gap. So now I'm right on both sides. So now I want to take that small stitch, wrap my thread, because you're starting a new seam, and do 2 granny knots. Oh, it's so hard. Basically, it's a mitered seam, right, that we're doing. When you see them in hexes, you'll see more of the, there's lots of Y seams in there. Okay, so now we're gonna go right and start our little stitches again. Just doing a quick little running stitch all the way to where this silk pin is. Here. And one of our neighbors is mowing their lawn. That's kind of nice to hear. Miss that sound. It's been a long winter. And now one of the things fabric is pretty forgiving. So they say you should check every once in a while, just make sure you're stitching on the line on the other side. And that's true. You could do that every time you stitch, but if you're missing the line on the other side, you can take it apart too, right? And it's easier to take apart. So now, remember your breathing. And if you miss it just a bit, you know, you can always go back and sew it. Hand sewing curves are sometimes, you know, re-sewing, trying to do the small stitches you can. We'll get to that. We'll do a big segment on curves, including the hand sewing. There. And we're coming up to the last bit. There. But remember that breathing, that posture. And we're going to come right up on my pin. There we go. Okay, pull through. Breathe out while you're pulling through. Make that knot. Okay, make the knot, and then 2 handovers or 2 granny knots. There we go. And now we clip the thread, excess thread, and ta-da! A perfect little Y seam. There's no gaps, right? There's no gaps when you pull it. There's no stitches showing, so you've actually hit your point. So on these Y seams too, what I see a lot of people, quilters do, is they finger press them open, so they will continue to lie flat. So the block will continue to lie flat. But that's up to you is how you're going to do it. It's your quilt. There's no quilt police, so it's all good. So, and we're done. We're done our little 4 patch with a corner. So this is our bordered 4 patch. And that Y seam looks beautiful. There's no stitches, there's no gap, there's no nothing. So this was a really simple little block to do, and you saw it didn't take a lot of time at all. Now there are Y seams in this quilt behind me here. This is a replica of my grandmother's quilt. Hers was much daintier and much lovelier. And I really found this very soothing to do a hand stitch and then hand quilt. So I'm hoping you join our 30-day challenge of, you know, breathing, posture, and hand stitching for 30 days for 30 minutes each day. You might find it might be easier to deal with all the turmoil that's going on in our world today. So either way, I hope you have fun with this, and I hope you come back. Okay, bye! If you have questions about what you saw in this video, or you have ideas for content, or something you want to see us do, please put those comments in the description below. But also, while you're there, like, share, and subscribe with your friends. That would really help us out. Okay, I want to thank you and have a great day.